Welcome to CT Creating, and I'm here to talk about all the cats I've known and loved over the years. And I guess that this was inspired by, um, a loss of a friend's cat, Mr. Pixel. We've probably talked about him a few times on the streams on this channel, Nintendo Ninja News, and he passed away from kidney disease after 10 years that that he's been around, and it was a very sad time. He's had it for the past year, and this is a little couple pics of him that I think I snapped a couple years ago. There he is a big, fluffy, majestic looking guy, and he was a very well behaved cat, very friendly, cute, always a bit of a chair stealer, computer chair stealer, much like Luxray Whisk. It's a cat thing. And he was a really well behaved cat. I adored him. I thought he was wonderful. He was a very sweet little dude and loved his owner with all of his heart. And there he is, big fluffy dude. Softest, silkiest fur that you could imagine. And there he is, watching his friend bite at the water. He's sort of something, which I thought that was a funny picture to take. With that, a little bit of cat grass and all that. So, and it's sort of, it was, he's had that condition for a year. And it was, you sort of think about, um, back in your own time with Whisk, he passed away in September as well from hypothyroids, and not eating and drinking and all that. And it is always, hard when you lose a pet. But I thought that I would go and have a chat about some of the other cats that I've had in the 90s and sort of talk about them a little bit and, you know, fill you in on sort of the gaps that I haven't really told anyone that much about the past kitty cats that I've owned. So the first kitty cat I had was called Garfield or Garfy. And this is the only picture I think I've got of him, of me being asleep. This is a little bit hard to see. There I am. Little orange cat. He was really nice. He was very sweet. And there's the back of it. And back 32 years ago, it's a long time now. And he was around for probably a year and a half. And unfortunately, he died of a snake bite. He was outside. And I remembered, sadly, the neighbor coming around and, showed what happened, and he was in a little plastic bag. And that was pretty hard to take. I think I would have been probably about 8, 9 years old. And me and my mum was very upset about that. But he was a very sort of human-like cat, you know, very adorable, more of a mum's cat, but liked me as well. And I would help feed him and give him water and all that sort of stuff. And then I think a year later, we had Milo, which unfortunately he disappeared after a year. You can see that there's a bit of a common theme with the cats in the 90s that we had. Um, and then we had Tippy, which was probably the only female cat that I actually owned. And Tippy was around for a year or two, and she had kittens, about 5 of them. So I think I remembered walking downstairs one morning, and there's she's in the middle of giving birth. So I was a midwife for a cat, and one of the cats was a white kitten with 2 blue eyes. So technically, Luxray is not the first white cat that I've looked after, which is kind of funny. And unfortunately, you know, life got in the way. I went into foster care. My mum went to hospital, and Tippy and Sparkles, which was a beautiful black and white cat. I think he had two blue eyes as well, and they both disappeared. Probably someone took them in, and that was sort of it for cat ownership for a long time. So I've had quite a few kind of false starts to cat ownership, and then many years later, probably not that many years later. I guess close to 10 years was when I got Whisk, and we all know his story. He's been on Nintendo Ninja News 5 years, and I got him at a pet store in Pets Paradise, and he was actually kind of smallish, but he was quite lanky at 3 months old. And yeah, he was definitely the longest cat I've had at 14 years. And he was great. He was a great pet therapy cat. He got me through a lot of dark times, you know, and he was very playful, he was very cute, loved food. He was a foodaholic. And it was funny, there was a lot of people that didn't like cats, there were more dog people. But Whisk was like the exception because he acted more like a dog. He was pretty active at times, and he was, um, a really friendly, cuddly type of cat, always wanting cuddles and attention and food and stuff like that. So, and he could play fetch as well, which was pretty cool. So he's a very smart, intuitive cat, despite being a bit of a princess and demanding food all the time. And he lasted 14 years, and obviously, he passed away 5 years back. But we still remember him. We've still got his last stream up on YouTube and all that. So we've got stacks of photos and stuff like that if people want to look into that. But yeah, he was a great cat. Big kitty. I think he was like 7.5 kilos. But before he went on a diet, which he was not a fan of, and that was particularly difficult when you're having dinner meals and he's trying to steal your meals half the time. But yeah, he was really, really good over that 14-year period. And we sort of come to the modern day period, and not just cats that I know, living in different places. I've known a lot of dogs, such as, Malou and Jazz. Malou passed away a few years ago. Russell Terriers, I believe, or Jack Russells. And there was Bear and Ivy and Jack and Missy and Honey, all these other dogs that are either passed on or they're still around. So I probably know more pets than actual human beings, which is not too surprising to some people watching this video. And, you know, now we've come here to the present day. And we have, we've still got our current day kitties and Luxray and Mr. Bite, who was Pixel's best kitty friend. And we did look after him a couple years ago now. Back on Nintendo Ninja News, you may have seen him, a different little cat. And I've got few little happy snaps of him. So he's gotten bigger, he's gotten older, but this was when he was a bit of a young dude. And he's a shy cat. He's shy like me. He sort of, hides away under a bed. He's a bit like me at social gatherings. If you're going to find me, I'm probably hiding under the table or in the corner of the room, just sipping drinks. And there he is, he's very cute. There he is next to Isabelle from Animal Crossing. It's very nice. And of course, he was a window sill cat, just like Luxray. Luxray mainly goes up on the windowsill when he's looking for me outside. And I do notice that he sees me when I'm walking back home from the shops. So he would But Mr. Bite just enjoyed watching all the different people walk around and the birds and all that. So he's very fascinated by it. It's basically like a huge 100-inch TV for you to watch for a cat. And there was during our stream that we did together. So he was really well behaved during the stream. I thought, it's always a bit dicey mixing cats and live streams. But just like Whisk, he was a professional. He was really good. He was just sitting there while I was looking after him. And so we're in present day, and this is a lovely little photo shoot that Luxray did. He mostly behaved. He was a good boy. He looks very beautiful. I guess his personality, he's like a male model. Very good looking, but he's got about 6 brain cells. But apart from him being hyperactive, we look through a couple of his pics. He can also be very affectionate and loving. He might be running around and then 5 minutes later he'll come up and start making biscuits on you and doing heavy nudges and that. So I think that's why I got more heavy duty glasses, because he'll, like Whisk, he would try to nudge your glasses off. So he's always been like that. And it's funny because normally a lot of cats grow out of it, but not this guy. I think he'll be making biscuits for the rest of his life. I think that's just the way he shows affection and care. And there he is being very cute. One of his quiet moments. And he loves sitting on his little purple bed behind me. He's got his white kitty that I bought him. Which 2 blue eyes, but he loves this little guy. He sort of kind of drags him across the room and puts him actually on the cat bed as a little friend. So it's very cute. It's a very cute thing that he does. So well, I've got this guy up here, which is he going to behave or not? Hello. Pet ownership. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's difficult with pet ownership. But I think it's always worth, owning a cat or dog, or because I know that, there's going to be tough times when you lose them while he's walking on my desk and running my desk. But the greater the loss, the greater the grief. And I think it's still worth it. Even after losing Whisk, and it took me a few years to sort of really sort of dig inside myself. He's just moving the damn. He's trying to move the microphone in the boom arm. But I think it was worth getting Luxray in the end. Despite, still feeling a bit of thinking about, why have the rest when you've had the best, so to speak. But I enjoy Luxray's company and all that, and I'm sure that, for people at home who've lost their pets and that, you will move on to the next chapter and you'll find other kitty cats or puppy dogs or rabbits or guinea pigs or anything that you love. Because, just having them in your life is a fulfilling thing to have for yourselves. And it helps out lots of cats and dogs too, especially from shelter homes and that, because they have a lot of love to give you and attention and all that sort of care. So I think I'm going to hop off now. I think we've gone down memory lane. And let me know of any cats and dogs that you've owned in the past and any stories that you have. But I'm going to hop off and enjoy the next probably 2.5 minutes of Luxray behaving before he starts running around asking for his dinner a couple hours too early. And yeah, I'll see you next time.